All right, well, thanks everybody for being on the call. We identified that one of the next major needs to keep our workers safe is also for our businesses to have the cash flow they need to keep operating. Yesterday, several of our folks got on the phone and decided that our banking members would step up and help keep our members informed about the new SBA loan programs. Jennifer Bardot with Enterprise Bank and Trust has agreed as a member of our Supplier Service Provider Council to give this overview, and then other banking members will be jumping on afterwards to answer questions. Jennifer, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is just going to be a high-level overview of the slides to come. And don't worry about taking notes because this will actually be downloadable as a PDF on the AGC website. Please reserve all questions to be answered at the end of the presentation. If you could flip to the next slide, Anthony. So today, my mission is to help simplify the two programs that the SBA has launched to help small businesses. The first is called the Paycheck Protection Program, which is also known as the PPP. The second is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, otherwise known as the EIDL. It is also important to know that as I'm sharing this information with you, things are constantly changing and new information is being released from the SBA. What is important to keep in mind is with the PPP program, that is a bank-assisted program, so your banker can help you with that. The EIDL is actually an application you'll need to go directly to the SBA to complete that application. You can go to slide 3, thank you. On slide 3, I've listed your company's eligibility and business qualification checklist. The PPP program, the proceeds are used for payroll, the cost of rent, utility, and mortgage interest. Loan may be eligible for forgiveness, and what's unique about this one is that no personal guarantees are required. To be eligible, you have to have less than 500 employees as of February 15, 2020. Do you want to go to slide 4 now? Okay. What's unique about the PPP program, as I hinted earlier, is there is no requirement of collateral, personal guarantee, or fees. I've listed the details here to help you determine the amount that you are eligible to borrow. Outlined on slide 5 is a list of the loan terms. This link will take you to an application, but keep in mind it's only a sample. The application for the PP program has not yet been released from the SBA. But what you can do now is start collecting these documents to help you with the application when it is made available. And these are just predicted requirements that we are predicting you will need for the SBA application. But as I said, more information is being released. So the second program is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, known as the EIDL. This is a resource through the SBA as well, and outlined is a list of all of the loan details. On slide 8, this is a list of the business qualifications and to determine if you're eligible. There's also a link at the bottom that will take you directly to the SBA website so you can access the application. These are some free resources that I thought that might be user-friendly for you, you might find valuable. Some of the key takeaways is that the SBA does have resources that will help small businesses. Enterprise Bank and Trust has the ability to help you and assist you with the PPP program as well as other resources. We also have a website with real-time, real updates that will help keep you informed. And with the Triple P program, your banker is able to assist you with that one, but with the EIDL, you'll have to go directly to the SBA to complete that application. So now we're going to open it up to Q&As. I have a list of bankers who are members of the AGC that will be our panelists to help answer all questions.
And this is Anthony. We are going to allow folks to unmute their phones for questions, but we also have a chat feature. So there are some folks that have already sent some messages in to ask questions. So I'm going to start with those. We have a question that says, on the payroll protection, can you include workers' compensation in your payroll calculation? And any bankers can take this question.
Well, this is Steve Albert, and I work with Jennifer. You know, on that question, that answer has not been given out by the SBA on the exact detail of that. So there's a few issues around, you know, payroll, what's to be included and what's to be, you know, excluded, you know, on it. At this point in time, the only thing that I'm aware of that's excluded for sure is, you know, payroll expense of employees that make over 100,000, you know, the payroll taxes regarding to Social Security, and then any employees that are, you know, on qualified sick leave under the, you know, Family Emergency Leave Act, and then employees that are outside of the United States. Those are the three specific items, or the four specific items that are for sure excluded from, you know, from the calculation.
Thank you. For the PPP loan, do you know how number of jobs or FTE is defined?
You know, that's a question that is a number of questions. There's two things that are really being out there that are kind of key questions that are being researched. You know, one is the definition of FTE, and and I'm getting more guidance. I don't think the answer is on when it comes to FTE. That's where we're looking for some guidance from the SBA. You know, I've talked to a number of attorneys and CPAs that are digging into this, and when it comes to FTEs, would believe that the definition of full-time equivalent that follows the definition of other employment related, other the Family Medical Leave Act and other acts will follow here, but it's not specifically defined as what defines an FTE, but believe that the definitions from other acts will follow here, but that's not specifically been addressed. And then the other issues around union employees if the companies count the payroll expense of union-related employees into the math for the loan under the Triple P program. And that's an item that I have not received any real clear guidance from, whether it be from the bank or from, you know, trusted sources from the law and CPA field on. So those are two items that are still open and being asked of the SBA at this point in time.
Thank you. Any other bankers have an answer to those questions, or do we hit it out of the park so far? Okay, the next question is, are 401k matches included in the PPP program calcs?
Unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that question. I believe of the interpretation that all compensation related to the employees, except for the things I've been in. As far as I look at it right now, and I think there's more guidance to be had, is if it's not on the excluded list, then it's included. But I think that's a definition that still is yet to be defined.
Okay, they keep coming. Is the information based on 2019 or last 12 months? I've seen conflicting information. Is the 100 that, okay, let's start with that one because I think there's multiple questions.
On calculating the payroll period?
I believe so.
Yeah, and I would defer that to the to the CPA side. But I would what we're going with is, and really the bank is not the ultimate authority on that, is because the owners will be be kind of certifying that the information is accurate and be supported with information. And I want to take a step back here and just say that, that there is an application out being floated around that was released on Tuesday by the Fed, by the SBA and the Treasury, and they also gave guidance that here's the 4 or 5 things that we're going to ask information on, and at that's out there. But the official application that they're willing to accept and what form the documentation has yet to be released. As of this second, there is still guidance needed from the SBA and the Treasury on what exactly information needs to be gathered, and there's still some tweaks being done to the application. I know there's some people submitting applications to banks, but those aren't the final format, and the final format's kind of yet to be determined. So there's a few nuances that even some things have changed in the last couple of days, so it's still kind of an evolving process here. So I just want to kind of talk about that. The Treasury said we're taking applications on Friday, but as of right now, banks are only kind of speculating what format that information should be in and what's the final form of the application. That as of this second has not been finalized, and even if applications are submitted, the Treasury and the SBA don't have the ability to accept those applications and process anything because there's still a few open items. We're all hoping that gets clarified today and overnight, so that applications can be officially start being accepted in the right format tomorrow and over the weekend or early next week. In regards to that question, the guidance that I've been giving is that, and there's some details depending on when the company started, if it's a seasonal company, and I think that's probably a deeper dive for having a conversation with your CPA or your lawyer. But the general guidance is the last, it's the last 12 months from I believe March 1st through March 3rd, March 1st of 2019 through the end of February for February 2020. It's the last 12 months, and it's the average payroll, and all the benefits that go along with your payroll are what the average is calculated on. Is the most recent 12-month period, assuming you're not a seasonal based company and you haven't started since last year.
Okay, they've got a couple follow-up questions, which was on here. Is the $100,000 limit per employee just on salaries or salaries plus all benefits?
It is my belief that it's a capped at 100,000. So once you hit the 100,000, you're tapped out with that employee. That 100,000 is the limit, salary and benefits. Just once you get to 100, the benefit stops, or the calculation on putting it into your formula stops.
Okay. Do we have to reduce compensation by employee paid payroll taxes?
So payroll taxes payroll taxes for Social Security are an exclusion. I may not understand that question, but the payroll taxes for Social Security are an exclusion that comes out of the formula. It's not a qualified expense to be included in the loan.
Very good. Okay, next question is regarding PPP and the 4 quarters of payroll reporting. Do we use the 4 quarters in 2019, or do we use March 31, 2019 to April 1st, 2020?
March 31st to April 1st.
Okay. Some banks have SBA signature authority without going directly to the SBA for approval. Which banks locally have this authority? So I guess you guys can all individually answer that question.
Yeah, SBA, Enterprise Bank and Trust is a preferred, SBA lender, and so I will say that we're a preferred lender. I could.
Other banks? You may have to unmute yourself if you haven't unmuted yourself, other banks. Okay, I do know that we have PNC and First Bank, US Bank on the call the other day that all said that they were approved lenders. And we also have Midwest Bank and Stifel as members as well, but they weren't on that call. So if they're on this call, feel free to speak up.
I did get an email from Joe, and I believe his screen's on mute, so you might have to mute him manually, Anthony.
Okay. Let me unmute everybody. Please don't put us on hold. Okay.
Hello. Can I be?
Okay.
This is Amanda Schmidt with US Bank, and if you can hear me, we are an approved SBA lender as well.
As is First Bank.
Yeah, and this is Joe from PNC. We are preferred SBA lenders as well.
Great. Please don't put us on hold, everybody. Okay. There is $350 billion mandated right now. What happens if 500 billion in applications are turned in? Will there be additional funding to cover the overages?
We've not received guidance on that yet.
Yeah, I think that Joe's right, is that anyone's guess, anyone on the call's guess is as good as ours if 350 billion will be enough, or will there be a need for more, and will they fund more?
Okay.
I think 350 billion was going to go a long ways.
No,
I don't know if it's enough.
Hey, going back to that question on the retirement, the 401k, SF of the paragraph for payroll cost includes payment of any retirement benefit. But check with your accountant or your attorney to make sure that that's how that should be interpreted.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, if there were any other questions you guys couldn't answer earlier, feel free to do that now. Okay, as far as filing the application, will this be a first come, first served type of situation?
Yeah.
Is that a yes?
I'll answer for First Bank. We are going to consider applications from our clients first.
Yeah, and I think with Joe, it is one where certainly taking care of clients first, and I think the sooner you get the application. Here's what I've kind of coached to my clients is is that, yes, certainly we want to be aggressive with getting in line. Oh, may have to go back to the mute. Is that being early in the process is really good, but on the other hand, having the right information and submitting it right the first time will be the smoothest path to the end game. Being the very first application is probably not as impactful as making sure that you're early in the process with a completed application of what is necessary for the SBA to approve it. That speed is important, but accuracy will be more important than speed to ensure a smooth and quick process to funding. That's my interpretation of getting this done right and well.
Okay. Do each of the banks have a specific amount of money available?
We've not been told that we have.
Yeah, right now it's open for each bank has as much access to the money as any other bank.
Very good. Do each of the banks have a specific amount? Oh, I think that just came in twice. Okay, I think I've exhausted all of the chat questions, so I'll open it up to folks on the phone if you have any questions.
You know, I'll just make just a final comment here. Well, one, Jennifer, thanks for your presentation. Really appreciate that. Did a great job. I would just say that all banks are in the same boat of looking for guidance from the SBA on the final application, the final items needed. You know, the presentation covered at a high level, the articles of incorporation, the operating agreement, copies of the driver's license front and back, payroll expense verification documents, breakdown of payroll benefits, and eventually all owners over 20% will have to sign a certification. Those are big picture items to focus your energy on, including, when it comes to your rent expense, your mortgage interest, utility expense. Those are things you can start working on. And I know all banks are anxious to get the here's the final application and the final document that we need to get this kicked off. And that's going to be coming very, very soon. But those areas where you can start putting together the information, obviously start working on that, and your banker will be communicating to you with the right process. Each bank probably have a little different process, but what that process is on getting the application submitted, getting the SBA number that then allows the bank to fund the loan, thereafter.
I will say
I know
go ahead, Joe.
Oh, I'm just saying, I know clients are waiting for their banks to get back to them. It's an ever evolving process with the SBA on what the guidelines are. And I know at First Bank, we're trying to minimize the wait time after you submit the application. What we don't have happen is something go out that changes, and we have to come back to the client and say, we need more information, or this isn't right. So we're trying to get it right the first time, and the SBA isn't exactly 100% cooperative in being speedy on this.
Amanda, do you have any thoughts that you just overview that you'd want to share?
From U.S. Bank's perspective, we have a web page dedicated to updates as we receive them. We're in the exact same position as everyone else. We don't have final rulings, final indications from the SBA on what all will be required. I understand our process will be electronic, and if there are folks out there that are U.S. Bank clients or that have not already, we have a registration page that will automatically send out an update with the link when it is available. And I think, you know, if there are questions, we've got SBA folks that are available to answer questions as well. And we can, you know, put folks in contact with them.
Thank you. Joe Schrick, did you have any follow-up comments?
No, what I was going to say was actually pretty similar to what Amanda just said. You know, our PNC, our application is going to be all digital too. So it was, you know, TBD and when that application is released and when the SBA gives us a green light. But yeah, I know PNC and I know other banks too are all ready and willing to help it through as we go through this process. So.
Okay. What I have on the screen right now, if you all can see it, is this is our AGC in Missouri COVID-19 page. This is where you all have been coming for safety, et cetera. On here, we've now added a COVID-19 SBA loan program page. We're gonna start adding different resources here. AGC of America just put something out that Len had sent over to me. So I'm sure we'll add a link there for frequently asked questions from the Treasury. And there will be additional things there that will hopefully answer questions as things go on. This is literally hot off the presses. I appreciated that the banks took the time to give us the information they could give us at this time. My understanding is that, you know, the application could even come out tomorrow. And so staying on top of this and being in there right away is very important. There's the question that I keep getting is what's forgivable? You know, so I think that on the slide deck, it showed the areas that you have to spend the money on. It also, there's something that I've been told that it has to do with basically how many employees you had on February 15th until how many employees you've kept on the payroll until June 30th, and making sure that you haven't had a large drop off if you want full forgivability on the loan. But there's some percentage drop on there. And if you drop employees, then you'll get a percentage of your loan forgiven. Again, I'm not a banker. I'm just telling you the information that I've been given.
No, you're accurate there. And on that account, it doesn't necessarily have to be the same employees. It's about the number. And I should have said this earlier. I know there's some CPAs and probably attorneys on the call that wanted to jump in and help answer any of these questions. I know we're all learning at the same time, and everyone has their own area of specific expertise. But yeah, but that number from February 15th to June 30th, and it's a 25%. It's got to be within 25% on June 30th. And the forgivable loan piece, 75% of the total loan has to be payroll oriented. 75% or more has to be payroll oriented. And then the less 25% or less can be rent, utilities, and mortgage interest.
And Steve, I do know we're hot off the presses on this. So I do think as information comes in, I would anticipate a follow-up webinar as you guys know more. We will basically determine that once the bankers tell me what information they have and whether it's a good time to launch that. And I would assume in the next few days.
Yeah, that'd be great. You know, two days ago, all the banks, or 2.5 days ago, didn't have any of this information, and it continues to evolve very quickly. And I know I was on a couple webinars yesterday, that from the morning webinar to the afternoon webinar, things had changed. So yeah, it is evolving. Be patient, and I think everybody's application will get pushed through and get funded. It's about patience and accuracy. We'll get through.
Hey, Anthony, this is Mark Jansen. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
So somebody asked about how you determine your eligible payroll, and the act itself says it's the 12 months prior to the application for the loan. So Steve was right as far as in this case, it's now March 31st. So I would say it's April 1st of 19 through March 31 of 20 is the period that you just use to determine your average payroll cost.
Thank you for that. And this call, we wanted to give an overview, but we do have some dedicated CPA members, and I do anticipate on the next call we probably could do a collaborative effort to make sure we've got a comprehensive look at this. Okay, Len, if you want to wrap us up, I want to thank Jennifer for her time and effort putting that presentation together, and the other bankers for jumping in like they did.
You're welcome. We love AGC.
Thank you, Jennifer. We really appreciate all the help from all of our banking partners on this. And we are trying to hit a moving target here. And I would anticipate that once we do get some final rulings and maybe get a little track record on this, this may be something we'll repeat as the picture clarifies in the future. But stay tuned on the website. Stay tuned to the daily briefings, and we'll get through this together. Thanks, everybody.